Anyway, I'm still holding this can precariously. I've just taken a few landscape shots, a couple of down low for Rossi sort of thing, but and I've just dropped the hockey strap. I'm going to put that in my pocket. I think I was just hanging it over my shoulder, but as you can see, nice little clumps of these things. But, I don't know, it's sort of another one of these shed things. Well, that's worth a shot, surely. And another one on the other side of this sort of hillside. And does that imply there's a stream down here? I suppose it must do, because it seemed to be some sort of control and some sort of pump system. So yeah, pump system in the national park, wasn't it? And look at that, you got a bit of pod solarization going on here, the greying of the soil. And over here, oh yes, getting quite grey there, so that's quite nice. And here, look at that, almost going grey into black. That's a good, well, definitely I think we'll be back here next year. But that's a good sign for Bernarda being in the area, I would think. But where? See, as I said, I'm not an expert on Bernarda because I'm from WA, and Bernarda wasn't really discovered in WA until fairly recently. It was thought they didn't grow in WA, and I don't know. I've got the impression through CPN that it may have been Robert Gibson discovering it on one of his trips, but I'm not sure. That's the trouble. No news and views in CPN. Had we had the news and views sort of thing, we we would have had like a recorded history, a running history, I think is what you want to say. So would have like, I'm going to WA on this trip, blah blah blah. Next issue 3 months later, oh, I've been there and guess what, I've discovered drops of banana growing here, sort of thing. But everything's become so, on one hand, secretive, wanky, and something a bit sus too. There's something a bit sus going on in the horticultural world regarding CPs and related plants. Sort of, it's very Mickey Mouse, and yeah, I mean, maybe a shot back there, I don't know, but I don't know. What's the Chinese proverb? May you live in interesting times. I don't know about that. Yeah, or is the actual crux of the proverb is may you live, or is it may you exist in interesting times, or will you survive the interesting times? But yes, I mean, as I said, I'm nearly 50 now, and it almost feels like history's walked on past, sort of thing. Or people are trying to write me out of history. Because basically those two scientists didn't do what they said they were going to do. Basically, that's what it comes down to. And people are saying, "Oh, you should have done something." And I'm thinking, well, yes, I did, but the glandular story was a side issue story at the time. I wanted to learn, what was going on with CPs. Why did we have so many in Australia? Why were they mostly over in Western Australia in the Northern Territory? Why were they so big and colourful? Why did they grow so fast? So we could bring them into normal horticultural practice, sort of thing. If we know how they grow in the wild, we can tweak all the variables. Well, we know they grow in this type of geology or something. Therefore, these are the elements. Blah blah blah. This is the type of mycorrhiza it likes this element to grow specifically well. We can bump that element up to its highest level before it becomes toxic, sort of thing. All those sort of tweakings, that's what I'm talking about.